All right, so just to kind of recap and so basically what happened in high school is the same thing that happened in college when I discovered the theory of everything. So just to kind of recap about the high school, got straight A's all through my life. I was the teacher's pet. I was considered like I was the best at writing. I was always got awards, and I was the best at every sport I did, right? I was the best at everything. And just incredible. And I had fan clubs of girls because of the swag flow, but I'm not going to get into that. But I lost the swag flow in college. But hopefully I can get it back. But, I'd like to get videos and everything. But so everything deteriorated, though, when my dad got the shoot-away machine. So I'm one of the best players in the country, but my dad got to get the shoot-away machine in 7th grade. And that's when me and my dad started to fight. But it happened to be coinciding with the time I started shooting overhead. So I think he thought, oh, it's because you're shooting overhead. No, I shot overhead before the shoot-away machine, and my shot was perfect. I have a video of me making every shot with it. It was because I was shooting overhead and picking the ball off the rack, and I know how good shooters shoot. I won't go into details because I want to make good shooters think, but it's all about how you move into the shots. And with the shoot-away rack, picking the ball off the rack, you can't shoot the way a good shooter shoots. And I started shooting the way a good shooter does not shoot. Picking the ball off, hopping straight forward. Just to kind of recap just a little bit. I'm not going to... If I can go into details, then you would really understand, but I'm not going to go into details. But when I was picking the ball off the rack, I would catch it and step like this, and then my left foot would be in front, left foot pointed forward, and my right foot in the behind it like this. So I'm picking the ball off the rack and going like this. And then I'm shooting like this. And that's what my dad said, square. Whereas before, my left foot would always be pointed out, and then my right foot would be pointed forward toward the rim, and then I shoot. But anyways, I'm not gonna get into details because I don't want to make good shooters think. But that's kind of the essentials of what happened. And then when my dad came out, my dad was like, "Well, Ryan, we'll go like this, just so you don't shoot with your left foot in front. You go like this." And then he was telling me to put my right foot to the side and my left foot forward, the opposite of what I did before, where my left foot would be out, okay? So then I'm in the backyard and I'm picking the ball off the rack and I'm going forward and I'm shooting like this. And then I'm in the game and I'm catching the ball and I'm going and I'm running forward into my shots like I do when I'm picking the ball off the rack when I'm practicing the way no good shooter shoots. And I'm doing this, doing the exact opposite of what a good shooter does. It just completely screwed me up. And if it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, none of that would have happened because I was automatic. I never thought I was the best. I would have stayed the best. But it just messed me up. So, but then, as I said, my mom goes to my game and she's like, first off, she was already upset in the 8th grade. Like, you're not shooting, he's not shooting good. But I was still the best player in the country. Growing up, I was considered the best player in the country. So it wasn't that big of a deal. People don't know that. People think, oh, you're scoring 30 points a game when you're in the 8th grade. Yeah, I would have been scoring way more if my shot wasn't destroyed. And people would be like, oh, sure. I was the best player in the country. People don't know that. So, but the shoot away really screwed me up big time. So, but it took a while for it to extremely screw me up. Like, at first when I was picking the ball off the shoot away machine, it didn't destroy it completely. But the more I practice on it, the more I'm practicing wrong, the more it messed up my shot. So, so my mom goes to my game. She's like, "What's wrong with you? You're shooting terrible." I was a starting point guard on varsity as a freshman, despite having a messed up shot. But my mom was like, You're a shooter. What's wrong with you?" My dad was mad at my mom. My dad was like, "Marla, he's fine. He's okay. He's doing good." Because I was doing good. Everything else except for my shot. And that's the thing. That's why my grandpa's like, "No, it wasn't. You were playing against bigger, better players. That's why you fought with your dad." No, the only problem was my shot. I was trying to fix my shot. And then when my dad tried to fix my shot, he messed up everything, dude. It messed up everything. So, and the reason why I bring this up is my family has made me into the bad guy. I want them to know if it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, none of this would have happened. So, and I want to move on, but they don't. So, then at that time, like I said, I was the best shooter in the country, or I was the best player in the country. But then my dad started to try to fix my shot. My dad was like, "Okay," well, he gets me in the backyard. He's like, "Well, so I'm picking the ball off the rack, and I know now what I was doing, but at the time I didn't. I'm picking the ball off the rack, I'm stepping forward, and I'm shooting like this. It's making me shoot square. So I'm shooting, but I'm trying not to think, because I never thought before. But my dad's like, "Ryan, you're shooting with your left foot in front of your right." He's sitting back there. And I'm like, Dad, I'm just shooting. Let me just shoot. So I just continue to shoot. Because, if it wasn't for the shoot away, this wouldn't have been happening. It was because of the way I was stepping into it, because the rack is right here. I'm picking the ball off the rack. It's making me shoot like this, square, as my dad said. But my dad didn't know that. My dad thought what I should be doing is going like this. Like a retard, dude. What the fuck, dude? He really thought I should be going, no. So I'm picking the ball off the rack. I'm doing the exact wrong thing. My dad's yelling at me. Then my dad goes, so that was going on. But then, like I said, I remember like in my freshman year during the playoffs, my dad started passing to me. And I remember during that playoffs, I actually had a good game. I had a really good game and I was shooting really good. It's because my dad was passing to me and I wasn't practicing picking the ball off the rack. And I think that I was kind of aligning to what works, right? So, but then, like I said, my 10th grade year, I sprained my ankle and then my dad went to my game and I finally got back into playing, but another player got my starting position and my dad was extremely upset. And my dad was like, I'm not going to go to any of your games anymore. I'm really mad at the coach. If I go to your game, I'm going to kill the coach. So I knew he was really mad at me. But then I'm shooting outside in the backyard with my dad, and the same thing's going on. I'm picking the ball off the rack because I didn't know how I shot. I didn't know how I shot when I was the best shooter in the country. I was automatic. That's why I was so good. I was unconscious. So I'm just picking the ball off the rack and stepping. And like I said, I would move this way, pick the ball off the rack, and then step right foot, left foot. And that was my better shot because my left foot would be pointed out. Now that I know that. But then I picked the ball off the left side, and I'd step like this. And then my left foot would obviously be pointed forward because of how I'm moving into the shot, picking the ball off the rack. I can go into details. I'll just say one thing. A lot of good players, I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to make good shooters think, but a lot of good players who will shoot with the ball in their left hand and step like this and then shoot. Because it makes your left foot point outward. And when I picked the ball off the rack, I couldn't do that. I picked the ball off the rack and I'm stepping like this. My left foot's pointing forward. My right foot's like, it messed up my shot. Long story short, it messed up my shot. Good shooter shoot with the left foot pointed out like this. And the right foot pointed forward. So, so my dad's like, what's going on? You're shooting squirts. It's no use. I give up. You fucking suck. So my dad goes in. Then I'm like, Dad, come on. I need your help. And my dad's like, no, I give up. You suck. I can't help you anymore. And then he beat me up. And he's like, if you ask me again, I'm like, Dad, I need your help. Come on, just shoot for 10 more minutes with me. He says, if you ask me again, I'm gonna fuck you up. And then he beat me up. Okay. So that's what happened. But then my dad, later, he starts going out. And he's like, okay, stand like this. Keep your left foot forward. Pick the ball off the rack. He didn't know the rack was a problem in the first place. And put your right foot forward so you're not shooting square. And put your right foot pointed to the side, which is the exact opposite of how I shot before. And then shoot like this. So I'm in the backyard and I pick the ball off the rack and I'm going like this. Completely wrong. The exact opposite of how I shot. So it's, to make a long story short, you want to know the truth? My dad messed up my shot. My dad messed up everything, dude. But this is the thing is my grandpa comes in and he's like, never blame. Never blame. Don't blame. That's not the flow. That's what happened. But I'm not mad at him. I want to move on. But he's the one who doesn't want to move on. They're the ones who made me into the bad guy. Now, I was never able to tell them because I've never been able to tell them about the shoot-away machine. And I was never able to tell them because I can't tell, because I don't want to make good shooters think. I don't want to go into details. But I would tell him the details of what happened to my shot. Even that, I'm not telling you the details. I can tell you how good shooters shoot, what they do and stuff. And I could really convince everybody that the shoot-away messed up my shot. And I could really convince everybody about how good shooters shoot. And if I had more videos, it would help a lot. But I don't want to make good shooters think. So, so then, as I said at that time, I'm trying to, yeah, but then my grandpa comes in. So at that time, I'm like, Dad, help me with my shot. And then my mom's like, and then my grandpa comes in, and my grandpa's like, he comes in from Kauai. He lived in Kauai. He never knew how good of a player I was. He always lived in Kauai. So he comes in and he's like, well, what Ryan really wants is he wants independence. Because he didn't know what was going on. He's just making up stuff. He's thinking like, oh, Ryan's having problems with his dad. This is normal for a high school age kid. He just wants independence. He just wants independence. No, that's not what was going on. I didn't want independence. It wasn't a rebellion. That's what he thought. knows the shoot away machine messed up my shot, but my grandpa, he doesn't know shit. He's coming in and he made things worse. He's like, Ryan just wants independence, and this is normal for kids his high school age. And I'm like, no, but so he's like, yeah, Ryan just wants independence. That's the problem. And in terms of Ryan wanting help from his dad, he just, he's trying to make things happen. He's trying to make things happen, and he has to, everything is fine. Everything is energy, and everything is fine. And the universe is moving towards synergy, and if he could just have trust, then he could be in the flow. And right now he's trying to make things happen, trying to get help from his. No, my dad's the one who messed it up, but regardless, Ryan's trying to make things happen. No, it's a shoot away machine. It's not so fucking simple with your weird spiritual shit, dude. But it's like, Ryan's just trying to make things happen. No, it wasn't that simple. There's complications. It was a shoot away machine. So my grandpa comes in, he makes things worse. But then my mom and dad, they're like, okay, they start to give me medicine inside of my milkshakes. They start to put medicine inside my milkshakes. And I'm drinking the milkshakes because I'm like, because at that point I'm like, Dad, I need your help with my shot. My dad's like, I can't help you anymore. So then we're starting to get in arguments. I'm like, Dad, don't give up on me, man. I was like, when I was the best player in the country, you shot me every day. Now that I'm having a hard time, you're going to give up on me? My dad's like, ask me again. Ask me again to shoot with you. I'm going to fuck you up. Ask me again. And I'd be like, Dad, come on. And then he'd beat me up. But then he would go. This is the thing is, okay, so then he would go out and shoot me. So again, it was capricious. It was capricious. And that's the worst thing. So, and then like I said, my sophomore year, my dad was like, I'm never going to go to any of your games because I'm mad at the coach. I'm going to be angry at the coach, and I'm gonna kill the coach if I go to any of your games because he took your starting spot, and you won a CIF championship as a freshman. He shouldn't have taken your starting spot. That's stupid. So my dad was really mad. But then after the first game, I scored 4 3-pointers against OJ Mayo, and then my dad comes in the next game and then that's when I was like, dude, this guy's superficial. My dad just cares about looking good. He saw that I was playing really good, and then he comes in my next game, right? So I was like, Dad, what's up with that? But then, but there's arguments and there's fights going on because I'm like, Dad, come on. When I'm playing good, then my dad would come out and he'd shoot with me and be like, okay, you're playing good, I'll shoot with you. But he'd still be upset because my shot be messed up. But it's because of the shoot away machine, but he didn't know that. But my point is, if it wasn't for the shoot away machine, none of this stuff would have happened. So, but then my mom's like, oh. So my dad's like, okay, well, because we're getting in arguments, and I'm like, Dad, can you, can we shoot? No, I'm not going to shoot with you today. No, I'm not shooting. And I'm like, Dad, come on, I need your help, man. Like, help me fix my shot. Like, because I didn't know what was wrong with my shot. And he's the one who, I didn't even know that there was something wrong. He was the one who was telling me there was something wrong with my shot. And I felt I needed his help. Your shot looks terrible. I didn't know my shot looked terrible. He's the one telling me. So I needed his help. But then he'd be like, I don't want to help you. It's no use. And the other ironic thing was, like, I remember one time I went out to shoot for like 10 minutes and I went back inside. I think subconsciously I knew the shoot away machine was messing me up, so I didn't want to shoot more. But then my dad said, Ryan, you shot for 10 minutes. You want to be the best, you have to shoot for an hour. And he told me, you're not going to play in the NBA. Because he used to tell me my whole life, he was like, you're going to play in the NBA. You're the best. White players don't play like you do. You're going to play in the NBA. You're really good and everything, right? But then he changed, and then he's like, oh, you're not going to play in the NBA. You fucking suck. You're terrible. Because of the shoot away machine, but he didn't know that. I'm like, Dad, come on, I need your help. Come on, help me fix it. He's like, no, I'm not going to help you. It's no use. Every time I fix it, it gets worse again. He didn't know it was because of the shoot away machine. But, and it really was. So then my mom starts to put medicine in my drinks. Because my grandpa's like, Ryan just has to accept things and you can't make things happen. So my mom and dad are like, and everything's fine. Everything's fine in the universe. My mom and dad are like, everything's fine, Ryan. Everything's fine. You can't make things happen. Your dad doesn't want to shoot with you. Everything's fine. You have to accept it. My grandpa would be like, you have to accept things. Everything's fine. You have to accept even bad calls. You have to accept it. So you have to accept our calls, Ryan. So they start putting medicine in my drinks. I didn't even know that. And my mom's like, Ryan has obsessive compulsive disorder. He has obsessive compulsive disorder. No, I didn't. It was a shoot away machine. If it wasn't for a shoot away machine, none of this stuff would have happened. And my dad messed it up. So then my mom's like, so they're putting medicine in my drinks. And I finally found one day that they're putting medicine in my drinks. Because I was feeling sick. And I looked at my drink and I noticed in my milkshake that my mom was putting medicine in it. So then I was like, and then I ended up punching a wall, broke the wall. And I was like, And I told my mom and dad, I feel like I'm dying. And then my dad was like, Marla, because my dad would be like, Marla, milkshakes. Marla, did you give Ryan a milkshake today? And I'm like, dude, you think I'm stupid? You don't think I hear this? So I put two and two together. I was like, they're putting stuff in my milkshakes. And then my dad was like, Marla, did you put medicine in this milkshake today? My mom was like, yes, I did. Oh my God. Is he okay? And then they admitted that they were poisoning my fucking drinks. They were putting medicine in my drinks. So, but again, none of this would have happened if it wasn't for the shoot away machine. So then my grandpa's coming in and he's like, Ryan, you just have to accept everything's fine. And he's like, what Ryan really wants is he wants independence. That's what Ryan really wants is he wants independence. And that's why he's fighting, because, it's normal. That's not what was going on. It was a shoot away machine, but he didn't know that. Nobody knew that. And then my dad was like, my mom would talk to like one of my friends' dads, and the friend's dad, this kid was a jerk. So he was like, I don't know what happened. Just around high school age, my son turned into a jerk. My mom's like, yeah, he just turned into a jerk. I don't know what happened to Ryan. He just turned into a jerk. No, it was a shoot away machine. I wasn't a jerk. I was always a good kid. I was always the nicest. There was nothing jerky about me. So then my mom takes me to a psychologist, and she writes to the psychologist like, Ryan, he was such a wonderful kid. He was so amazing. He was so wonderful. And now he's just a jerk and blah, blah, blah. And saying all this mean stuff. But I don't remember what the letter was. But the psychologist read it to me and she was like, what's wrong with this letter, Ryan? And I was like, I don't know. She was like, your mom's calling you names. And she was like, I've never met anybody as bad as your mom. She was like, in all her career as a psychologist, she had never come across anybody as bad as my mom. And she was like, you're not the problem. I can tell you're a good kid and everything. She was like, your mom is the problem. So I was like, but really, it wasn't my mom either. It was a shoot away, but my mom didn't know that. So the next day, my mom says, you're never going to that psychologist again. That lady was crazy. She sent me a new psychologist. So when I go to the new psychologist, I'm trying to tell the psychologist, like, can we set up a system where my dad will shoot with me like, once a week or something? Like, because right now it's just capricious. If I'm playing good, my dad hears that I had a game-winning shot. Then he'll shoot with me the whole week. But if I'm not playing good, then he won't shoot with me, and it's just capricious. And I just felt like I needed his help just a little bit. I just needed him to be able to look at my shot and tell me like how bad it looks. Because at that point, it was just damage control. My game was completely terrible. And because I was shooting on the shoot away rack. But at the time, I didn't know it was the shoot away rack that was a problem. So just damage control at that point. I just wanted him to shoot with me for 1 day a week and tell me how, just help to maintain some semblance of a normal shot, even though I'm picking the ball off the rack and there will be none, which I didn't know. So my dad's, but then my dad and my grandpa and my mom go to the psychologist, and I tell the psychologist like the idea, and then my grandpa's like, yeah, that might be a good idea. Do it just like once a week for 15 minutes. But my dad was like, no, I have to make it capricious. He's like, he had to make it capricious. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. So he continued with the capricious way of dealing with me in the shot. And then my mom and dad were like, we're not going to let Ryan live with us unless he starts to take medicine, because my mom was like, he has obsessive compulsive disorder. No, I didn't have obsessive compulsive disorder. And even if I did, it doesn't matter. The real problem was the shoot away machine. And now we can move on. Let's move on. I know it was a shoot away machine, and I can go into real details, but I don't want to make good shooters think. But if I could go into details, I would convince everybody, and not just that, about the swag flow, about everything. Everybody would know that I'm not fucking crazy. I know what I'm talking about. But, so I'm like, he has obsessive compulsive disorder. So my mom was like, if he's going to live with us, he has to take medicine. Now, again, that would happen later in college when I discovered the quadrant model. My mom did the same thing. Oh my God, he has a schizophrenia. I'm not going to give him, we won't give him a place to stay unless he takes medicine. So again, all this stuff that happened later stemmed from high school with the shoot away machine, with what happened there. So my mom was like, I'm not going to let him live with us unless he takes medicine. So they put me on like Prozac or something. I don't know. So I had to take that in order to live with them, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to take medicine, but that was the rule. And I felt like I needed my dad's help. So I was like, okay, to live with my dad, I'll take medicine. So I started doing that, but it's not going to help anything, because the problem was me and my dad are trying to fix my shot. And the problem was the shoot away machine. It's futile. It was a futile situation. So I'm continuing to shoot bad. My dad's continuing. He's still mad at me. Oh, you're shooting terrible. And like I said, my dad went to one of my games one time. I was going to school with black eyes because my dad was beating me up. And then my friend Zane was at the game, and my dad's driving me home. And my dad's like, you played terrible. Like, you played terrible. Your shot looked terrible. And he's driving. Well, of course, because I'm shooting on the shoot away machine. But he's like, you played terrible. And then Zane was like looking at my dad like, what? And then my dad got in like road rage, and he started to like tried to run a guy off the road and was spraying water on them from his windshield, and Zane was, so then Zane started noticing that Zane said that my dad told me one day that Zane was like staring at him like he was mad at him, and my dad was like, did you tell Zane that I'm beating you up? And I'm like, no, because I didn't want to tell anybody that my dad was beating up because I felt I needed his help to fix my shot. So, but my point is, but then things didn't work out. Me and my dad are still fighting because my shot's still messed up because of the shoot away machine. So then I ended up having to live with my friend Afam. I lived with Afam for a year. And, but I would call my mom, like, Mom, can I please talk to Dad? Can I please come home? Mom would be like, no, you need your dad, you little pussy. What are you, 2 years old? You need your daddy? If it wasn't for the shoot away, none of this would have happened. But then, like I said, in college, my sophomore year, when I discovered the theory of everything, my mom's like, oh, you have schizophrenia. You didn't discover the theory of everything. You need to take medicine. And after I graduated, Mom was like, I'll give you a place to stay only if you take medicine. The same thing happened in high school. Well, you can live with us only if you take medicine. First off, I didn't need medicine. I didn't have schizophrenia. I discovered the theory of everything. Even the doctors told my mom that I didn't have any mental illness. But it was the same thing. And then when I was in high school, like I said, I'd be calling my mom, Mom, can I please? No, your dad doesn't want, he's not going to talk to you. Your dad hates you. He doesn't want anything to do with you. You can't make things happen. You can't force things. You can't get your way. Now, the same thing would happen after high school. I discovered the theory of everything. I want my mom and dad's help. I want to talk to my mom, and I want to tell them about the shoot-away machine, but when I try to tell my mom about the shoot-away machine, she says, no, talk about the past. Oh my God, you want to talk about basketball? You're stuck in the past. That's why you're schizophrenic. And then I'm like, Mom, can I please talk to Dad? He's not going to talk to you. You can't make things happen. You can't force things. And can I see you, Mom? No, it's never going to happen. The rest of your life, you have to accept that. Because my grandpa's thing would come in and he's like, everything's just fine. You just have to accept bad calls. You can't make things happen. The universe is one. Everything in the universe is energy. You can't make things happen. So my mom's like, you can't make things happen, Ryan. And even my grandpa said it's problematic the way my mom talked to me, and he said that she's immature and she misinterpreted his teachings. He cast pearls of swine. But regardless, I'm going to get to my grandpa in the next lecture. But my grandpa he made me more crazy than anybody. But I discovered theory of everything, but it was still the same thing as high school. My mom's like, no, you need to take medicine. You're mentally ill. The same thing happened in high school. You can't live with us unless you take medicine. It was a shoot-away machine, but, they tried to make me into the bad guy. Then, no, you need to take medicine or else we're not going to give you a place to stay. No, you're in high school. Can I talk to Dad? Can I see you guys? Can I come home? No, you can't. You can't make things happen. We don't want anything to do with you. We want you to be independent. Because my grandpa comes in, he's like, well, what Ryan really wants is independence. So my mom's like, you need to be independent. We don't want anything to do with you. And the same thing after college. No, you need to be independent. We don't want anything to do with you. Get out of our lives. We just get our lives. Even my mom, yeah, I'll get to that. But so my grandpa didn't help. It was just a terrible situation. But I discovered theory of everything. Everything is good.